Hey there, and welcome. Have you ever had that feeling where your life's GPS just seems to be constantly recalculating? You know, like you took a wrong turn somewhere and you're not on the path you thought you'd be on. Well, if that sounds even a little bit familiar, you're in exactly the right place.
And this right here, this is our starting point today. It's a feeling that just hits home, doesn't it? It doesn't matter if you're 27, 47, or 67. It's all about that gap between the life we pictured and the one we're actually living.
We all do it, right? We're constantly measuring ourselves against this invisible timeline. We're always asking, am I ahead? Am I on time? Or am I falling behind? But what if the real problem isn't where we are on the timeline? What if the problem is the timeline itself? Now, we can't always control the random detours and roadblocks life throws at us. That's a given. But what we do have is this incredibly powerful tool to navigate all of it, our own mind. You can think of it like the operating system that runs, well, everything. And this is the key. At the end of the day, we're the ones writing our own life story. And the quality of that story, how rich it is, how meaningful it feels, that depends entirely on the quality of the thoughts we choose to have. So how do we get better thoughts? Well, that's where this idea called cognitive restructuring comes in. I know, it sounds kind of technical, but think of it like a software update for your brain. It's just a way to find the buggy code, those unhelpful negative thoughts, and rewrite them.
This simple difference is everything. It's where all our power is. We can't control the circumstance, right? The stuff that just happens to us, but we always get to control our response. And that little space between the two, that's where we get to write our own story.
Okay, so if we've got this new operating system running, how does that change how we look at the past? How do we reframe all those times when things just didn't go according to plan?
This quote is such a powerful mantra to live by. It completely reframes our entire history. All those tough moments, those things we call failures, they weren't prison walls keeping us stuck. No way. They were classrooms, and the price of admission was just experience.
Now, this might sound a little wild, but stick with me. Suffering isn't actually the ultimate evil that we have to avoid at all costs. You know, hardship can actually have a purpose. It can make us more human. It can carve out some real depth in our soul. Because here's the other side of that coin. A life where you just try to avoid every struggle is often a life where you avoid any real growth. A soul that never gets tested, that never matures. Now that's a far bigger tragedy than going through some tough times. And what about the times other people caused our pain? Well, holding on to that anger is like drinking poison and then waiting for the other person to get sick. It just doesn't work. The only person you're really hurting is yourself. Forgiveness, in the end, is really about taking back your own peace. And this is so important. Someone else might have been responsible for hurting you, but the healing, that is and always will be your responsibility. It's a choice, a path that you have to decide to walk for yourself.
All right, let's get into the biggest pressure cooker of them all, that nagging feeling of being behind schedule. We are about to completely dismantle this myth that there is some correct timeline for a successful life.
It's a real anxiety, isn't it? You look around and it feels like everyone else got a secret map to life, and you're just lost in the woods. Well, let's get a little perspective on this, shall we?
Okay, let's talk about Julia Child. She didn't even go to cooking school until she was in her late 30s, and her masterpiece of a cookbook, she published that at age 50.
Or how about Bram Stoker, the guy who created one of the most famous characters of all time? He wrote Dracula when he was 50 after spending years as a theater manager.
And Charles Darwin, a man who completely changed how we see the world and life itself, he published On the Origin of Species when he was 50 years old.
This one's wild. Leo Fender started out as an accountant. He only began changing the entire sound of the electric guitar and basically all of rock music when he was in his 40s. And get this, Wallace Stevens worked as an insurance executive his entire life. He won the Pulitzer Prize for Poetry at age 75.
So what's the point of all this? It's that your life is not some race with a finish line at age 30 or 40 or even 50. The really profound, meaningful stuff, that often happens on a timeline that's completely its own.
So, if the past is just a lesson and the timeline is a total myth, then what's left? The only thing that actually matters, choice. The freedom to choose your own path, starting right here, right now.
This incredible thought from Viktor Frankl just gets to the very heart of it all. This is it. This is what he called the last of the human freedoms. It is the one thing no one can ever, ever take away from you.
And this ancient proverb really says it all. Who you are isn't defined by what's happened to you or what birthday you just had. It's defined by the inner world you choose to build, the thoughts you decide to hold in your heart.
So your path isn't lost, and you're definitely not behind. It's just unwritten, which means the only real question left is, what's your next step?